BSE has confirmed to CNBC TV18 that SEBI has accepted its demand. This is the big news that we are tracking, that it's accepted its proposal to allow FNO expiry on Tuesdays. Yash Jain is here with more. Over to you.
Well, Archana, of course, the big news, as you pointed out, is that market regulator SEBI has approved Tuesday as the expiry day for National Stock Exchange or NSE. This is something where a lot of chatter has been going on over the last 1.5 months. Of course, we were the first ones on CNBC TV18 to report that was on May 22nd that NSE had submitted its application with market regulator SEBI. That was to seek an approval to get Tuesday as its expiry day. Of course, we had also reported that market regulator was considering NSE's request to grant the exchange Tuesday as the expiry day, but at that point of time, no final call had been taken from market regulator SEBI. That indeed has changed today, where market regulator SEBI has taken a final call approving Tuesday as the expiry day for the National Stock Exchange, which naturally means that Thursday becomes the expiry day for the Bombay Stock Exchange or BSE. Now, of course, if you go to look at it that way, these are just 2 days of the week where weekly expiries would happen. But both these 2 days hold a lot of significance for both exchanges. Analysts on the street believe that a lot of volume, significant amount of volume takes place on Tuesday when it comes to the expiry. And hence, the exchange which receives Tuesday as the expiry day tends to get traction of that volume and market share along with it. And of course, the exchange which gets Thursday, of course, does not get that traction because it gets consumed on the first expiry day, that is Tuesday itself. From that standpoint, of course, NSE tends to benefit with receiving Tuesday as the expiry day as against BSE. Of course, I was reading a report which spoke about how at least 20% of the Sensex options volume could migrate out of, Sensex or BSE, and majority of that could flow towards NSE as far as Tuesday expiry is concerned. This would mean that NSE could be helped as much as 5% increase when it comes to its market share in options contracts itself. So these are important numbers which will become beneficial for the National Stock Exchange. But this is the big story which is coming at this point of time. We are joined by two very important guests who've observed and followed this particular issue very closely, Mr. Rajesh Baheti as well as Gurmeet Chadha. Rajesh, to start this discussion with you, for our viewers, for investors, just explain to us in a nutshell, in a very simplified way, what is the significance according to you when it comes to Tuesday as an expiry over Thursday when it comes to these exchanges?
So if you recall, till some time ago, the BSE almost didn't have any market share in the derivatives segment. And then when BSE introduced a different expiry day from the NSE, they started getting some traction. But last November, SEBI designated that many of the weekly contracts we discontinued and that each exchange is allowed one contract. And now we are talking one expiry day per exchange. What happens then if NSE retains Thursday? Post the BSE expiry on Tuesday, there are basically 2 trading days that are available to the NSE today. Whereas if you move it to Tuesday and BSE goes to Thursday, then NSE gets 3 days to expiry: Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. So I think it's just to claw back the market share a little bit from the BSE. NSE might have told SEBI that it's lost out the most in terms of the reforms that SEBI has started. And BSE was nowhere in the picture till about a couple of years ago. And that it would only be fair if it got 3 days to expiry versus the BSE to be allowed to get 2 days to expiry. From the investor's point of view, honestly, not much change. From traders' point of view, for algos, there'll be a little bit of a problem because your backtest data will probably get a little jumbled up because you don't have any backtest for Tuesday expiries. Apart from that, I think over a period of time, NSE might claw back maybe 10 to 20% share, as you just said.
Okay. Gurmeet, coming to you, of course, Rajesh spoke about the fact how, there is an additional before the expiry that NSE gets with this particular change of getting Tuesday as its expiry day. In terms of numbers, what are you looking at that would come through in terms of options volume moving towards NSE as well as the market share moving towards NSE because of this important change?
Yeah, I think it is short-term important, as Rajesh also pointed out. So if you see, BSE average daily turnover was around 33, 34 trillion, and with Tuesday expiry at the peak, it actually crossed three digit. In fact, almost was in three digit, almost 100, 104, 105, which led to significant gains in market share from almost at a point of having no market share. And that was evident in the way the stock also went up. Just look at the stock price trajectory BSE had, in last few quarters. And I think if you see past few days, the way, and I always tell market probably knows it all. There was some hint of things changing. And now with NSE getting back Tuesday, I agree that in the short term there will be some changes in market share. Maybe they can claw back some of it. So on the face of it, it's positive for NSE. But I would want to see a detailed announcement from SEBI and want to go level 2, level 3 in terms of nitty-gritties. Also, the majority of the F&O volume now is increasingly the algos are gaining more market share. The sophisticated hedge funds and long short funds are obviously making hay while the retail traders, especially option writers, suffer. So I think it will be interesting to see what algos change. I think SEBI is also concerned in terms of heightened algo activities. So I would also look at that aspect as well. But right now, at the face of it, obviously looks like, on the margin positive for NSE.
Oh, that's certainly the case that we're hearing from the street. Of course, Dipan, before I come to you, let me just play a very short bite from Sriram Krishnan from the National Stock Exchange, who gave his first reaction to CNBC TV18 right after the changes were announced. So let's just hear what he had to say in terms of movement of options, volumes and market share to NSE, how this could become beneficial for NSE, and of course, confirming that they've indeed received the communication from market regulators.
And so if you flip it around and say that the NSE expiry is going to be on Tuesday henceforth, which is confirmed now. And if that's the case, then obviously this is a huge positive for NSE. And I think that's what the market ecosystem wanted to see, and we've received feedback in the past.
Dipan, I want to come to you, and this is now with respect to BSE, which has received Thursday as the expiry day. Of course, both our guests did speak about how BSE has been experiencing a surge when it comes to the options volume. Its market share was steadily increasing. And that was, more than that was clearly reflected as far as the stock price and the valuations for BSE itself is concerned. Now, with this decision coming through, and of course now the market trying to understand the ramification and the impact of NSE receiving Tuesday as the expiry day, as far as BSE stock itself is concerned, which has seen a significant surge in the last 3 to 4 months, how do you view that position?
Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you for having me on your show. I think that, whatever gains BSE had to make in the options trading and the connected related fees to it, I think all of that has got priced into the stock price, and it's trading at extremely rich valuations, I think 80 times trailing 12 months. And to an extent, all the optimism, in my opinion, has got priced in. No doubt, exchanges have a nice moat around them. They're difficult businesses to run, even more difficult to enter. But at the end of the day, cyclical businesses, and you cannot be paying such high valuation multiples for such businesses. And whenever NSE's IPO comes, I think that would be a more interesting investment proposition than BSE at this point of time. But for the time being, I think BSE's valuations are really daunting. They are highest compared to some of the other exchanges also. And in terms of growth rates, I think also it could have peaked out because there's only so much more options volume that can grow. So I would be a bit circumspect when it came to BSE Limited shares.
Correct. And you did speak about NSE's IPO. I'll come to that a little later. But just, Rajesh, to come to you, and this was surprising to me as well. If you read what BSE has put on its website, it says that the exchange expresses its intention to, of course, shift the expiry day from Tuesday to Thursday. And this is as per what BSE had sought from SEBI, which means BSE in the first place itself had sought Thursday as its expiry day. It sort of initially amazed me that why, if it's widely being understood that Tuesday would be more beneficial, in your sense, why would BSE in the first place seek Thursday as its expiry day?
I think because NSE was clear in its intention that it wanted to switch to Tuesday, and BSE didn't want to leave the door open for the other fledgling exchanges like the NCDEX or the MSCI to, come in case SEBI designated both the exchanges as Tuesday, that would leave the field wide open for new exchanges to come and introduce Thursday contracts. So the BSE understood that the writing was on the wall, and therefore it preemptively applied for Thursday. That's all I can think of.
Fair point, fair point. Gurmeet, to come to you, and I mean, the most interesting question as far as this discussion is concerned, NSE's IPO. I mean, it's more liquid than a listed company itself, many listed companies that we have on the exchanges. Just about a month ago, it was trading at somewhere around 1650, 1700. It's gone all the way to about 2200, 2250. Now, with, of course, this falling in favor of NSE, what's the fate that you see for NSE's IPO and the valuations there?
No, I think it's been a big jump in NSE after, especially in last month, almost a 40% kind of a jump in unlisted prices, closer to 2250, 2300 now. But, I think some of it was getting priced in, yes, because there was already talks of different bites coming, that they want a Tuesday expiry, etc. Also, week-on-week data which came last week for BSE showed some dip on the week-of-week market share as well. But even NSE now, the market cap is almost 6 lakh crores. Now, if you take estimates, and I think even that's now it's valued above 50, 60 times. So, I just want to hear investors need to understand this is, it's a great business, as Deepan also said, but it is highly cyclical in nature. If you have one soft quarter, the volumes can dry up, and derivative volumes make up a significant part of the revenue. It may fluctuate from 60 to 80%, and then you derive charges out of it, and that number can widely vary. So there could be big fluctuation of what it's not like a bank NBFC where you can factor in a certain credit cost and name and work yourself way out. So, to pay 50, 60, 70 multiples on exchange over medium to long term doesn't look sustainable. Worldwide exchanges trade at 20, 25 times. India is a high growth market. You can give a 30, 40 multiple, but trading at 60, 80 times to me is a bit of a stretch. And I think that at some point of time, so the market will realize that the growth is as much it can happen. It's not a market which can, we can continue growing 40, 50% volumes, year after year.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, the comparison with global markets as far as exchanges is concerned, despite the growth which India provides, needs to come in place. One final question as we conclude this discussion to you, Deepan. Tomorrow, of course, if we look at BSE, the stock itself, it's moved, of course, in a significant fashion on the upside. But very recently, we've seen that it's lost also about 10%, 10% from its peak. Tomorrow, what's the first reaction as far as you expect BSE to have, the stock to have, on the back of this particular announcement?
No, I think some of the negative news was to an extent priced in. Knee-jerk would be a stock may trade a little bit lower, but it's not going to be a complete sell-off. I don't think so, because in a way, the liquidity also is quite tight in the counter. So I don't think it's going to be like a major correction, but I could be wrong. Trying to predict intraday or next day price movement is very difficult. And let's see, I think, how BSE also kind of takes what efforts they make to continue to grow their market share. They may certainly have a few aces up their sleeve as well.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mehta, and thank you, Yash, and all our guests for weighing in on this big update that we are breaking on CNBC TV 18. SEBI has accepted NSE's proposal to allow FNO expiry on Tuesdays. This is the big update. On that note, we'll slip into a short break. News and updates continue right here when we return.